Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out Entitled Parents. Story 1. I don't know if I'm the problem. My mom seems to get more and more annoyed with my brother and I living at home as the days pass. For my brother I can't speak because I understand her frustration with him. All he does is play video games in the basement. But I clean dishes when she asks. I spend quality time by going on walks with her and listening to her while she rants, etc. But I constantly try to prove I'm enough through my actions like cleaning, folding her laundry when she asks, and much more. But this morning I woke up at 10 a.m. and I came downstairs and my mom asked if I wanted to go to Trader Joe's. I said yes, but let me eat first. She got upset and told me, oh great, now it's gonna be too late. You wake up at 12, leave my kitchen a disaster making breakfast, which is not true. I clean up, and then you make my day go all off track and it's not balanced. I'm 21 and I'm in college, about to go into my senior year. I have a job and I'm interning at a wellness center. So it's not like I'm not productive. I will admit I can be lazy, but that's I get horrible sleep which I need to fix. I just feel so crappy. Story 2. Our first landlady was a real piece of work. In 2010, my grandma and I moved. At the time I was only 14 and grandma didn't drive, so her sister, I'll call Jeanette, moved in to help us out. For the rest of the story, I will refer to our ex-landlady as entitled landlady or L. We should have known that she wasn't a truthful person when she said she'd never sell the house. She even said we could buy it, eventually. Another landlord told us the same thing, and surprise, it never happened. For a while, everything was fine. That is until I came back from school one day. I noticed that Grandma and Aunt Jeanette were upset about something. Grandma explained that we needed a new refrigerator. And honestly, I can't remember why. It broke or we needed a bigger one. Anyway, Elle said there was a refrigerator and freezer in the garage that we could use. They called somebody to take them out, and they were surprised to say the least. The freezer and refrigerator were both broken. And it wasn't like Elle told them that. She specifically said that they both worked. Neither one was fixable. So, we had to go to the store to purchase a new one. She knew they were beyond repair, so why would she say we could use them? I already didn't like her, because had my Jack Russell Terrier, Ricky, and parakeet Opal, had to be rehomed, because she did not want any animals in the house. She sure made that abundantly clear. She had a specific attitude, that my way, or the highway attitude. She would also talk about us to other people, if we did something she didn't like. Anytime something vital had to be fixed/replaced, it was difficult trying to get her to do something. It was like pulling teeth, I am not even kidding. So, our in-law, I'll call Evan, had to fix or replace things. He didn't mind it and Elle was fine with it, too. He is a handyman, after all. He fixed the bathroom or kitchen sink, I can't remember which one, fixed up the half bathroom, installed ceiling fans and screened in the side porch. So suffice to say, he did a lot. The house really did look great. And remember what she said? It was this phrase, oh, I'd never sell the house. You can even buy it if you want. Well, can you guess what happened? She informed us that she was pregnant. She and her husband already had some kids. And they needed to move into a bigger house. They didn't have enough money to move, so they told us they were selling the house. Don't ask me what they did with the house they were living in. Hopefully, they didn't rent it out. That's when she asked us something that we weren't expecting, at all. She said, so, are you going to leave the house as is? She actually asked us were we going to leave some of our stuff in and around the house, so it would look better to potential buyers. It obviously would have been different, if she paid for the improvements to the house. We paid for everything that Evan installed. We were already mad about having to move, but Aunt Jeanette and Grandma decided to do something. We took everything that was ours when we moved, minus the sink. The wine glasses that belonged to my great-grandparents, everything in the half-bathroom, we even had Evan come over to take down the ceiling fans and the scenes he installed, on the side porch. Needless to say, Elle was not happy about that. But what exactly did she expect, when she lied right to our faces and was generally difficult to be around? We sure weren't leaving our stuff in the house. Oh, and since she couldn't sell the house, it literally sat abandoned for over a decade, until someone finally bought it. Well, that's what you get. Story 3. Karen threatened to sue us when she basically just left her teens with us. I would have posted this on r/entitled-kids, but their Karen mother was just as bad, so I'll post this story here instead, cause this happened on a weekly basis with these types of customers who act like our theater was their personal babysitting service and freak out when they can't find their child and try to blame us instead. I'm not going to go into depth on what these kids were doing, cause I've posted other stories of what many of these kids were doing. I'll just make a quick highlight of what led to them getting kicked out. They get tickets, but instead of staying in their auditorium, they hop from one movie to another. We repeatedly get noise complaints until we decide no, you're not getting a refund or compensation for causing trouble, and we're asked repeatedly to stop. They're told to call their parents and leave. They all say we'll call our parents/friends/relatives to pick us up, but said whoever are either not picking up or take their time to pick them up, and the kids are now running amok in the lobby, still causing trouble and trying to sneak back into other auditoriums. We have enough and kick them out officially, and due to it being closing time, doors are already closed and we're cleaning up when I hear knock knock knock, can I come wait inside? Me, sorry we're closed. Teens, but it's cold out here and my parents aren't here yet. Manager, there's a gas station across the parking lot, you can wait at, go there, we're closed. They usually keep knocking until security walks over, then they bolt away. Note this is before Uber or Lyft was a thing. At most there were taxis. But I'm not sure how late they run, since it was around midnight as these was happening. By the time my co-workers and I finished it was pitch black. My ride was outside and security was just making sure everyone got to their cars all right before heading back inside. I see these teens just hanging out just outside the building around the far sides of the building, but afterwards I'm not sure how they got home, since it's not my job to babysit them. Next day the cry of a Karen screams, why did you make my babies walk home in the dark? They could have been kidnapped. Security, ma'am, we had your teens call you repeatedly, but no one responded and we were closing. Karen, so you're okay with letting kids get kidnapped? How dare you? I'm going to sue you all and get all of you people fired. Before storming off and never appearing again, we're a movie theater, not a free babysitting service. It's your own fault for not picking up your own kids/teens. Don't expect us to drop your own kids/teens off at home for you. Heck, if one of the night managers literally bikes 2 hours home in the dark cause she doesn't have a working car, then you can afford to come pick up your kids/teens, Karen. TLDR, Karen doesn't pick up her kids/teens and wants to sue us, after finding out her kids walked home in the dark. Story 4. Best Pal's Absolutely Crazy Mom. I woke up to a text from one of my best pals' mom this morning. Something along the lines of, stop hanging out with my son because you guys are staying out too late, college students during summer. We are both 23, and he's waking up at 3 p.m. every day and not getting enough done. Some context: he took a month off work to move houses and I went and helped, just after I returned back to my home city after my recent semester at school abroad. Me and a couple other mutual friends of his helped move all the furniture and their personal belongings into a U-Haul truck to help them move. Long story short, we worked 8 HRN days helping them move, cause his mom wanted literally everything moved, including the closet doors and curtains and washer dryer and fridge, and they had a million bags and random furniture. After those long days of work we would hang out at night, go for a smoke and talk and just vibe. And after he finished moving we'd occasionally meet up late night after our duties were finished and go for a walk and smoke. Thing is, some days we would return at 23 a.m., but it was summer vacation and we didn't plan on letting this continue for anything longer than another week at most, as his hiatus from work would end and I would go about my endeavors, I looked at those 2 weeks as my post-semester break period where I just did whatever I wanted, and instead of drinking or going to parties we just hung out, had good genuine conversations and listened to music, but it was late into the night as I mentioned earlier. So today I woke up to his mom texting me accusing me of influencing him to stay out late and going to parties, which we didn't, and being a degenerate essentially, and that if I didn't stop bothering him she'd find my mom and try to end our friendship. Now for some more context, she's a single mom and she also is mentally very volatile from my experience and his stories of her that he tells me. She's not afraid to be selfish and greedy towards everyone except her and her family, basically using any manipulation tactic to get her way, and if she doesn't she freaks the hell out. Basically this is the part that gets spicy. It's when I responded telling her that we weren't going to parties, instead going for walks and hanging out alone as good friends, just having conversations and catching up. I also told her, maybe I was too brutally honest, that her accusing me of doing bad things to her son is very disrespectful and not my problem. I also told her that she should respect her son enough to act like an adult and have his priorities straight, which my friend does for the most part. He was taking a break for fuck's sakes. His mom just wants an unrealistic perfectionist lifestyle and demands him to do crazy shit. I ended the message by telling her to be more respectful and not send such messages to me with false accusations and threats. This made her flip out. She basically went on a rant about how I'm a terrible human with ill manners and how children should obey their parents no matter what, etc., and that she would call/report to the police on me if I texted him or called again, telling me to feel shame for talking to her like that. I consulted to my girlfriend after the fact and she said I could have been a bit nicer in the way I delivered that message, like not been so brutally honest and blunt, but I told her what type of person his mom is like and my GF understood. I'm a very kind and empathetic person to all my friends and family, but I cannot stand disrespectful people that fail to consider anything or anyone outside of their little delusional reality. I did not attack but simply state the truth. The question I have for you guys is, did I do something wrong? What does this speak about her character? I want an analysis of this situation and how I should go about it like an mature adult, that's all. Thank you. Story 5. I live with a narcissist and I can't do this anymore. TW child abuse. I, F22, am the only child of my parents, M53 F50. My dad passed away 3/4 years ago. He was the parent I was closest to. I did everything with him and we shared the same interest. He also TW me a lot in the name of discipline. Discipline instrument of choice was a belt. It could be the littlest thing from misbehavior to academics. I'd be TW. I still loved/love him regardless. Where I'm from, I'm not a US resident. It's pretty normal to discipline your child that way. Growing up, I lived a comfortable life and my dad did almost everything for me. My mum on the other hand was almost never around as she was always pursuing higher education. So we weren't friends and never saw eye to eye. We spent family time together and spent time together generally, but I didn't have the same bond that I had with my father, with her. She would bitterly complain to my father that he was spoiling me, and they have had a couple of fights of how he spent on me even though they were a couple that barely fought. I always knew deep down that my mother and I could never ever get along. Fast forward 3/4 years ago, my dad passed away from a liver disease brought on by either his hypertension or diabetes. I still mourn him till now and feel very empty without him. He was my best friend. He just took the wrong route in correcting me as a kid. I made a comment before he passed away about how my mother and I will never be able to coexist as we were vastly different people. He passed away shortly after and willed everything he owned into my name. He jointly shared everything with her, so I just took his part. Now after the will is read, a probate is supposed to be filed, then we pay whatever tax we need to pay and everything's in my name. We got the insurance shortly after he passed and my mum promised to file the probate after we got it. She didn't. She also lied to a lot of family members that I spent my part of insurance when she took it and left me a measly sum which I used for educational purposes. We also fought non-stop after he died because one thing I hate are lies against my name. To show you the type of person I'm living with right now, I once told her I wanted to start the gym to lose weight, and she got angry and called me an expensive girl. I kept quiet and let her rant because that's how everyone else deals with her because she will not listen to you and create her own narrative in which she's always the victim. It seems me not retaliating made her want to get a reaction from me so bad that she said I'll die. Okay. I'll also die. You want me to die so I can stop nagging you. Dear reader, this was less than 3 months after my father passed away. You can imagine the shock on my face when she said that. That's just one instance where I've had to suffer because she's just a fuse waiting to blow up. Either December last year or January this year, I asked her why we hadn't filed the probate yet because I didn't feel comfortable signing under my father's name when we sold properties since he's passed. She threw a tantrum. She claimed I was trying to take properties from her and started to divide and tell me what I can and cannot take from her and what entirely belonged to her. I was in shock. She proceeded to call my cousin and tell her that my father didn't even leave the will in my name but rather just said he leaves it to his daughter. And that even if I put a claim, it can be refuted since it's not my name on it. My full government name is on that will and no one can claim anything from it except me. I was so shocked when I heard this because how can a biological mother think like this of her child? She said other things that were appalling that I cannot link here as it'll make this already long post, long. She also said very disgusting things about my late father. Fast forward a couple of weeks later, we find out there's some money that we can claim from my dad's old job. Color me surprised when they insisted we need the probate to go ahead with filing and processing to get the money. Reader, her attitude completely changed. Now she made it seem as if she has always wanted the probate all along and when we get the money she'd file for it. I asked them again and they said we cannot get the money without the probate and that's when she realized she had to get the probate to access that money. So we started the process. For context, I tried to unalive last year and my friends came to save me in the nick of time so our bickering has reduced because she realized that she'd lose her child and then people will ask her what she did. So yesterday she said we had to meet today for the letter that we were supposed to go for last week to mail to a family member. I told her that I had no money for transportation and had a paper tomorrow so we should have gone for it last week. She flew into a rage and called me self-centered and all sorts of names I'm sure as I didn't listen to the rest of her rage-induced voice note. I hate being called certain names and mentioned certain things which delved into another type of conversation which led to me reminding her of how I'd always be beaten if I didn't pass my exams and that made me examination anxious and how I've never shown her my results since junior high school as I didn't want to be punished or shouted on. This woman completely turned the entire thing around and said I said she and my father were horrible and wicked parents and the fact that they gave birth to me should have been enough for me to forgive all the atrocities committed against me. These are people who TW and left marks on my body so I could tell my friends they did it so my friends would see I'm a bad child and not want to be friends with me anymore. The conversation just annoyed me as it was as if I was speaking to a 5-year-old. She said I disrespected her by saying what I said and continued to go on a tangent. The one thing that would calm her heart was an apology and she got it from me as I wanted it to end and I thought that was the end. Reader, tell me why I woke up to several messages and voice notes trying to gaslight and guilt trip me. She claims I said things I never said and all you need to do is scroll up in our chat to see that she's lying. I pointed it out and she said I'm disrespecting her by saying she shouldn't put words in my mouth. I told her it's enough and she should stop attaching meanings to my word. She said I implied that they're horrible parents because they TW. Meanwhile I had clarified earlier that you can be good to someone and still hurt them and that the fact that they were good to me does not negate whatever was done to me. They were good parents, but they still hurt me. I am thoroughly exhausted by this environment and living with someone who can only be the victim and not the villain. Oh, I forgot to mention that when I said stop attaching meanings to my words, she said I was ordering her. I just want us to finish filing this probate so I can thoroughly speak my mind as my friends are equally tired on my behalf and wonder why not cut her off yet but I still need to be under her roof and have nowhere to go. No one can live with her but they expect me to be able to because she's my mother. TL, Dr. Mum called me self-centered and said she beat me out of love after I told her I don't have transport money. Sorry for all the typos. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.